So you leave college and you go to seminary?
I did. I actually didn't. I went into teaching first. I did 5 years of that because it was my first love is teaching. And then the Lord really spoke to me and said, listen, okay, right, you're now 25, 26. It's time to make a decision. I've prepared you enough. It's time to go. And I found the right place where I needed to go. The Lord showed it very clearly. I took my wife with me. We were married for a year, basically, and went onto the field. And it was only when I was on the field for another 5 years, it felt like my life was divided into 5-year gaps. Everything happens in 5-year periods. And it was being 5 years on the mission field when someone said to me, hey, that's great. Now you understand a little bit more about missiology and what God is really about when he calls people out of death and out of their sinful situations. So you understand that now. So now you go and study. And then I went to seminary and I didn't do well there. I had great grades, but I had a huge misunderstanding of what missiology taught me at seminary and what I was experiencing right there on the field. And after I could get and reconcile those two, everything turned out well. I finished.
So let me go back with you. How did you get to a certain field and why did you get to a certain field? You've said that in shorthand, but I want to hear the story.
The world is a big place, a huge place. And I've always believed that I'm an African. I was born an African and I choose to be an African. And I knew on the continent we had many issues.
Yeah.
They needed Christ desperately and they needed him right now. So I'm quite mosaic in my brain when it comes to thoughts and putting all of those together. But one of the things I am well at, usually during that stage of my life, was language. And so Wycliffe, the Bible translators, came to me and they said, listen, we heard about your longing from the church and your calling. What about Ethiopia? Would you go back and go into Wycliffe, and we need a translation of the Bible in Ethiopia. And we were getting ready. I said to my wife, it's time, we're going to pack. We're on our way to Ethiopia, into the desert. There's a translation that needed to be translated. And in between all of that, a friend of mine came. He heard I was going to Ethiopia and preparing to go. And he said, you can't go. It's the wrong place. You've got to go to Mozambique of all places. Because my dad was shot down during the wartime. I've never found his body. But there are people, they just came out of war. They seriously needed someone to care and to love and to bring the good news of the gospel. And that was Mozambique. And it took me 18 years to leave. And it was difficult.
Where were you during those 18 years?
All in Mozambique.
Yeah. So you never made it to Ethiopia?
Never made it to Ethiopia. Never made it. By the grace of God, I'm leading a phenomenal team. And the first thing I did was send someone to Ethiopia and make sure we serve and we love and we care.